Zdrova. Hi, and thank you for joining me for this short talk. Friends, today I really wanted to sum up this idea that I've mentioned in many of my lectures, but never really try to compress it in 2 minutes. The idea that it was ultimately Jewish mysticism that gave birth to the notion we have today of secular Judaism. In other words, it was or is Kabbalah that gave birth to the idea of the secular Jew. How so? Well, prior to the 13th century, this notion that someone could be an atheist Jew, a Buddhist Jew, a Christian Jew did not exist. If a Jew stopped keeping Torah, he was not considered Jewish anymore. Why did everything change post the 13th century? Because we know this idea doesn't appear in Torah, it doesn't appear in Tanakh, it doesn't appear in Talmud Yerushalmi, Talmud Bavli, Tosefta, on and on. In other words, it doesn't appear by Chazal. Why the 13th century? Because it was in the 13th century that the book of the Zohar came to existence. In other words, the Zohar classified someone Jewish because of the supposed soul that he was endowed with, not by what he believed or how that person behaved, which is how the Torah classified you. Now, halakha does consider you Jewish if your mother is Jewish for legal purposes, but this has no spiritual ramifications to it. In other words, all it meant is that you were liable for all the mitzvot that you broke and that your kiddushin was still valid, but it didn't mean that you were spiritually chosen or gifted like the Hasidim or the Mikubalim teach it means today, that what makes you Jewish is not what you believe or how you behave, but just the notion of having a Jewish mother and being endowed with some supposed Jewish soul, an idea that, again, does not appear before the 13th century. Before the 13th century, if someone stopped keeping Torah, their family would sit Shiva. They would mourn. Why? Because that Jew was lost. But not post the 13th century. Now you have Jews who stand on street corners asking everyone, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? To put on tefillin. Assuming this person knows nothing about Judaism, asking if they're ethnically Jewish, not if they keep Torah or they're interested in keeping Torah. Again, they've begun to elevate blood over ethics. So this gave birth to the notion of the secular Jew. So post the 13th century, Kabbalists would go around telling secular Jews who were not religious that, you know what, you're special. Not by what you believe or how you behave, but just because of the soul within you. Now, secular Jews figured it out. That what? That they don't have to keep Torah. They don't have to be ethical in the name of Torah. All they have to do is continue existing. And because of this soul they've been endowed with, this automatically made them Ubermenschen. It made them special above and beyond their non-Jewish neighbors. So this created secular Jewish societies, complete secular atheist Jewish newspapers written in Yiddish, Jewish poetry and drama that was anti-religious. Although it was still called Jewish, it gave birth to Zionism, secular Zionism, right? I mean, Zionism initially was a secular pursuit by secular atheist Jews who still insisted that their children marry Jewish and spoke Yiddish and in some way had some tie to this culture they have created that was ultimately anti-Torah but still called Jewish. Again, because what made them Jewish was not what they believed in or how they behaved, but the supposed special soul that was endowed within them, right? But again, before the 13th century, what made them Jewish was how they behaved and what they believed in, but not anymore. So this is how secular Judaism came to be, because this notion that they're entitled to special treatment because in some way they're special than everyone around them, even though they don't believe in God, but just because the religious have given them this false idea that, again, did not exist post the 13th century. So this is how Jewish mysticism ultimately gave birth to the idea of Jewish secularism and basically everything that's wrong in the Jewish world today. Friends, for more information on everything Jewish, please visit bejewish.org. Okay? Till then.